Let's talk about backup today. G'day, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Kathy. For all my return visitors, thank you very much for coming back. I really do appreciate it. Today we are going to talk about backup. I'm going to timestamp this video and you'll find all the timestamps in my description box below if you want to skip ahead to any particular point. First and foremost, I need to point out that a backup means that you have at least 2 copies of a file. Let's use an example. If you have photos on your phone which you then copied over to your NAS and then you deleted the photos on your phone, then the photos that are now on your NAS are not a backup. They're the one and only original copy of these photos. And I think that is something that a lot of us forget. We think, oh, well, I've put it on my NAS, therefore it's backed up. No. A backup has to have at least 2 copies in separate locations, usually. Now, it is entirely up to you as to which files you deem are important enough that you need to have more than 1 copy of. In my case, most of the files on my NASs are media files, movies, TVs and music, which I took from the original discs that I own, Blu-rays, DVDs, CDs, etc. Because I actually own the original files, I don't back up the media files that I have stored on my NAS. The only files that I back up are files that are irreplaceable, such as original documents and photos. For me, those 2 are the essentials that I have to have copies of in case one of my hard drives crashes. That's why it's important to have more than 1 copy, because technology is not always perfect. Sometimes you can have a computer, a phone, a tablet or a NAS hard drive fail. And if you don't have a copy of the documents or files on that device, then those files are gone forever. I've mentioned this before, but I'm going to repeat it. Even if you use a RAID system, RAID is not a replacement for backups. RAID is a redundancy system, and it does not mean that you cannot lose the files on your hard drives. You should have a backup in place even if you do use a RAID. It is really important to remember that. I wanted to talk about synchronization. Now, the way synchronization usually works is if you set it up between, say, 2 devices, say a NAS and, for example, an external hard drive. If you set up a 2-way sync, what normally occurs is that once the file is modified, say, on your NAS, it will then be replicated on the external hard drive. Personally, I don't like using a 2-way sync. The reason for that is because, say I accidentally delete a file on my NAS. If I have a 2-way sync in place, then I will lose it also on my external hard drive. So what I prefer to do is back up my files, say, 4 in the morning when I'm asleep. Well, maybe not me, but most people are asleep. I run it then so that I have the entire day to decide, I accidentally deleted that. I need to retrieve it from my external hard drive. 2-way sync does not give you that option. And you will need to decide if you want a 2-way sync or a 1-way sync. I just like to have that window of time so that if I have accidentally deleted something, I can still get it from my external hard drives. There are several ways that you can back up the files that are already on your NAS. The first is using one of these, an external portable hard drive. They're tiny, as you can see. This one I think stores 4 terabytes of data, which is quite a lot. I have quite a few of these, and I'm going to explain how I use them to back up the files on my NASs. As I've mentioned before, I have 3 NASs. The slowest one I have, the oldest one, I use simply for backing up files. These 2 here, I store all my media files, my documents, photos, etc. And on each of these NASs, I have attached one of these external hard drives. And these remain there permanently. What I do is I have set up a backup program that every night my important files are backed up to those external hard drives. Now I'm going to take you to my computer and show you the backup program that QNAP uses, and also how to create a backup job, specifically to back up your files on the NAS to an external hard drive. We are now back in the QTS user interface in your web browser. Now, if you haven't got the Hybrid Backup Sync program installed already, you will go into the App Center. You can look up on the left where it says Backup and Sync, and you are going to install HBS3 Hybrid Backup Sync. Once it's installed, you're going to open it up, and this gives you an overview. Now, there are 2 ways that you can create a backup job. You can do so under Backup and Restore, or you can do so under Sync. We're going to go into Backup and Restore, and we're going to click on Backup Now. We're going to create a new backup job. This is my local NAS. This is all the folders. We are going to select here the source folder. That is the folder on which the files that we want backed up are located. We're going to go into WD-RED and click on Docos. It tells me here that it is 92 gigabytes. We're going to go into Next. It's going to ask us here to choose where we want to back up those folders. Now, because we are going to back up those important files to an external hard drive that is already attached to our NAS, you are going to select Local NAS. And here you can see that external devices are listed. Blue TV 4TB is the name I have given my external hard drive. Now you can just select the external hard drive, or if you want to create a folder on that external hard drive, you're going to go where it has that little plus down here. For example, let's call it Docos BU for backup. There you go. It is now created on my external hard drive. And we're going to select this folder. And as you can see, down here it says that's the folder we have selected to back up to. Then we're going to click OK. We can call the job anything we like. We're going to call it Docos 1. Going to click Next. Under Schedule, you will decide how often you want those files to be backed up. So we'll click on Scheduler and we'll create one here. And here you decide if you want it a one-time only, you want it periodically, or you want it daily, weekly, or monthly. I like to choose to back up my important files daily. And I select a time that I know that I'm asleep and I'm not using my NASs. And I would recommend that you do the same. For example, we will choose 3 a.m. daily. And then we'll go into Next. And this is where you can apply filters or rules. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. So we'll click on Apply Filters and we'll go under Settings. And here you get to decide if you want to exclude or include certain files. For example, you may decide that you don't want any file that is bigger than 1 gigabyte to be backed up. And under file size, you can set that under maximum and say 1 gigabyte is the maximum the file can be. And further down, you can decide whether to include a certain file type or exclude a certain file type. Say, for example, that you don't want to back up any video files. You can click on Exclude File Types and you can click on Video Files and they will not be backed up. Then we'll go into Next. This gives you a summary. You can check it, make sure that everything's okay. And then we create it. And if you want, you can set it to backup right now up the top here. You can also set it to restore a backup. The second method for creating a job is going under sync. You can create two-way job sync or a one-way sync. I usually create one-way sync jobs. The only difference with sync jobs is that you will create paired folders. You'll choose which folder on your NAS you want to be copied or mirrored on the external hard drive. The rest of the steps are the same, such as choosing if you want to schedule it, if you want to apply filters, etc. The next thing I want to show you is jobs. Under jobs, it will list all the jobs that you have for backing up. As you can see, I have quite a few, and it will also tell me which ones have succeeded and which ones have failed. If you wanted to start right now, you can simply click on this start button up here under action. If you ever want to edit them, you can do so here. Now I can also plug in an external hard drive at any time to one of these NASs, and I can set up a program to copy the files that I want copied onto one of these, and then I can unplug it as well. You do not have to have your external hard drive attached to your NASs permanently, but that works for me. USB one-touch copies. By attaching an external hard drive to that USB port that is a one-touch copy, you can copy files directly that are on that device to your NAS, or vice versa, where you back up a folder on your NAS to that USB device. You can also create a backup or sync job that every time you attach a particular external hard drive to your NAS, that backup or sync job will automatically run. What you will need to do is, either when you're actually creating the job or after you have created the job, go into the schedule, and here you can select auto backup. And now every time I attach that particular external hard drive, which I have called movies, to my NAS, it will automatically start that backup or sync job, which I think is brilliant. If you have two NASs, then you can create a sync job between the two, where you back up, say, the important files on one NAS to the other NAS. Now, my backup system involves 3 copies of my most important files. I have the original files on the NAS itself. I then have a copy on one of these external hard drives, and the third copy is on another NAS, the one I have in the garage. So if there's a fire in my home and the NASs here are destroyed, hopefully the one in the garage is safe and my irreplaceable files should still be there. In my opinion, I don't think you can ever have enough backup copies. The more backup copies you have, the safer your files will be. Now, all my NASs are QNAPs. When I had my Synology NAS, I was able to back up files from the QNAP NAS to the Synology NAS. I found it a lot harder to do it the other way, which is one of the reasons I was frustrated enough to get rid of it and get another QNAP NAS. Backing up from one QNAP NAS to another is really quite painless and very easy. And now I'm going to take you to my computer and show you how to do that. First off, you will need to enable the rsync server, and you're going to go under here where it says services. You're going to click on rsync server. You're going to enable the rsync server, and you can choose a username and password here. And this will need to also be enabled on the NAS that you want to copy the files to. Next, we're going to create a job, and again, we are going to choose a one-way sync. And for the source, we are going to choose remote rsync server. And next, you're going to have to add a new account. You can call it whatever you like. And in relation to the IP address or host name, Because my NASs have names, I can just put in the name and it should be able to find it. If you haven't named your NASs, you will need to insert here the IP address. Next, you'll have to put in the username and password that you created. And the last thing you'll need to do is test the connection. Then you're going to select the account that you just created. The next steps are exactly the same, where you will choose which folders you want backed up. You'll choose whether you want to schedule and whether you want to apply any particular filters. One thing I do want to mention is that you can set a rule to remove any additional folders in the destination folder, that is the backup folder on your second NAS. I find it useful because it means that rather than having to go into that second NAS and delete any files that you no longer want, it is done automatically. And that way the two folders on each NAS are mirrors of each other. The third option for backing up your most important files is using a cloud service. I personally don't use a cloud service. I prefer to have my files locally, and I just don't like having my private files out there on the internet. However, that is definitely an option. For example, if you have Google Drive or Dropbox or anything like that. And now I'll show you how to set up to back up files from your NAS to a cloud service. You're going to go up here again and create a one-way sync job or two-way sync job, you choose. And as you can see down here, there are all the different cloud servers that are available. Let's choose Google Drive because that's what I use. You will then be taken to your cloud server and asked to log in and to give permission to the QNAP NAS to be able to back up to that. Basically, it's exactly the same as it is with creating a local backup. The only difference is that you'll need to sign into your cloud server in order to be able to use it. So they're the three methods of backing up the files that are actually located on your NAS itself. Now I'm going to talk about backing up your computer files. QNAP has several programs which you can download for your computer, and I'm including a laptop in this, where you can back up the files on your computer to the NAS itself. The first one is called NETBAK Replicator. The second one is called QSYNC. Now, I'm not a huge fan of NETBAK Replicator. It does the job, but it is slow and it can eat up some of the resources of your computer. You can set it up to back up whatever files you want on your computer or laptop to your NAS. And obviously, the more files that you want backed up, the longer it will take. Now I'm going to show you how to set up NETBAK Replicator for your computer or laptop. This is what NETBAK Replicator looks like. Now, as you can see up the top, there are several different kinds of backups that you can make. There is an automatic backup, there is the scheduled one, an instant backup, etc. The automatic backup is, I think, very similar to the scheduled one in that you select which folders on your computer you want it to back up. But I'm actually going to show you how to create a scheduled backup. You will need to choose which folders on your computer you want to back up to your NAS. As I mentioned previously, the more folders that you want to back up, the longer it will take. If you want to back up your entire computer, of course you can do so, but be aware it will take up a lot of space on your NAS and it will take a long time to do as well. So in this instance, I'm going to choose the folder called Kathy. Then you will select where on your NAS you want those files to be backed up. You will then be required to type in your username and password for your NAS. The next step is that NETBAK Replicator will calculate the estimated backup size. To be honest, this is the part that I find very frustrating, as it can take a long time depending upon how many files you have and the size of those files that you want backed up to your NAS. Once it has calculated the size, you can then select under Start when you want it to start. We will choose 3 a.m. And the frequency settings here, you can decide how often you want it to back up, hourly, daily, weekly, etc. We're going to pick weekly, and here you can select which day. So let's make it say Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday. Now we're going to add this backup to our backup schedule here. So we'll click on add, and here you can decide whether you want to use a password for this backup program or not. I personally don't, and I just click OK. And as you can see, this backup program is now here. And if I right click on it, I can back up right now. Now QSYNC is a little different to NETBAK Replicator. NETBAK Replicator allows you to restore the files to your computer if there is a crash, for example, or you lose some of the data on your computer. QSYNC, however, synchronizes the files between your computer and the NAS. I'll be honest, I have not used QSYNC in quite a long time. When I used it over a year ago, I really disliked it and didn't end up using it. Regardless, you can download it, have a look. If you don't like it, you can always get rid of it. Well, that's going to be it for this video. I do hope you found it useful. And as usual, if you have any questions, you can leave them down in the comments and I'll answer as best I can. Now, I think I've pretty much covered everything I wanted to cover in relation to QNAP NASs. If there is something that you would like me to go over, please do let me know down in the comments, and if I can, I will definitely cover it. In the next series of videos, I'm going to cover media files, specifically how to copy Blu-ray discs and DVDs, as well as CDs. I will also be covering how to compress those files. And finally, I will cover how to set up Kodi to access all your media files. Well, thank you very much for watching. If you found this video useful, you can give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, you can subscribe to my channel. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Until next time, take care, guys. Bye.